Thank you to Data for SEO for sponsoring this video. By the end of the video, you are going to know how to turn Claude into your personal SEO assistant using Data for SEO. This is something that I've been doing on my own for over a year before Data for SEO ever reached out to me. So when they did reach out to me, I was super excited to make a video to show you my workflows and show you how to set this up, how to actually get a ton of value out of the Data for SEO integration into Claude. This is one of my favorite integrations into any AI tool. If you've never heard of Data for SEO before, what it is basically an API for marketers to get access to SEO data. So there's two main products that I really like to use Data for SEO for. So first is the SERP API. SERP stands for Search Engine Results Page. So basically what that means is if we do a search on the left side, we have an example of pizza in a specific location. The results are all of these results that are showing up here on Google. So here it's going to give us that data in a structured way. This can be really helpful. For example, if we're trying to rank for a term, we can have the AI search that term, see what else is ranking, and see how easy it would be for us to rank instead of these pages. The other one is the Keyword Data API. This is super helpful for getting information about how many searches a specific keyword is getting. So let's say for no code MBA, I want to rank for AI tutorials. That's an example of where we could use the Data for SEO API. It can do research into the search volume for and impressions for that search term. It can come up with other ideas and do research into other search terms. And that's going to tell us which pages we should be creating on our site to actually rank for a specific search term. And it can estimate, okay, if you're able to get the first ranking on that page, how many clicks do we think that we could get? So the SERP API and the Keyword Data API are both really great. To get started with Data for SEO, click the link in the description, and that's going to give you, instead of $1 trial credits, you're going to get $5 of trial credits through the link in the description. So it's a great way to try it out, and there's no subscription at all. It's all pay as you go. And stay tuned because next I'm going to show you how we can connect Data for SEO to Claude to turn it into our personal SEO assistant. So here we are in the Claude Desktop app. So you have to download the Claude Desktop app onto your computer. And then on the top left, what we want to do is go to Settings. Under Settings, we want to go to Developer. Now I'm going to share the link to this page in the description because I found it really helpful when setting this up myself. Now, there are multiple ways to set up Data for SEO with Claude Code. You can do it in the terminal. There's other tutorials that Data for SEO has or blogs of what commands to run. I'm going to show you this way because I think it's the easiest with Claude Desktop. So basically, there are a few instructions. So open Claude Desktop, go to Developer Settings like we already did. Select Edit Config and open the Claude Desktop Config JSON file. So if you click Edit Config, it's going to open up a file, that specific file that it just said, which is going to be the one that we're going to paste in specific code. So that specific code is right here. This is why I really like this vlog here because it makes it super easy. You just have to copy this. And then right here, we keep the quotations, but you're going to put in your API login and your API password. Now you get those credentials from the Data for SEO dashboard. So in the Data for SEO dashboard, get those credentials, paste it in. Here's my config file. So you can see here is my Data for SEO set up right here. Once that's set up, you might have to restart the Claude Desktop app. So just go to the top left, make sure you quit so that it fully closes out on your computer, open it back up, and then here it should say running. So if it says running, we are good to go. That means our Data for SEO MCP server is set up, which is awesome. All right, so now that you know what Data for SEO is, you know how to actually set it up with Claude, we are going to do the really fun work of seeing how powerful it is and how you can turn this into your personal SEO agent. So we're going to start off with a prompt here in Claude Cowork. This is where I'm going to be doing most of the work because I really like Cowork. But again, you could use Claude Code. It's very similar. It basically has the same agentic model in the background, but Cowork is just a little bit easier to use for non-developers. So that's what I'm going to be using in this video. So we're going to say, let's go. And my prompt is to do research on the nocode.mba domain. So this is really how I would be using Claude Cowork and using the Data for SEO MCP server. And tell me where there are content gaps that I could be ranking for. Now, this is something that I like to do on a weekly basis. So I'll set up automations so that I can actually have this run on a weekly basis and I can see how things are improving or changing over time. All right, which competitor should I benchmark nocode.mba against for content gap analysis? I'm going to say major no-code education sites and also AI builder content. We're going to click continue. How deep should it go? Quick scan, comprehensive audit. Let's do quick scan for now. What format do I want? For now, let's just do a Word/Markdown report. Any topics to prioritize? I'd say AI no-code overlap. Okay, so while this is running, let me show you what else this MCP server is capable of. So this is running. This is what's cool about Claude Cowork is that we can let that run and we can keep working and have multiple tasks going at once. So this is another analysis prompt. So how many searches per month does the keyword base 44 tutorial get? Where are we ranking at no-code MBA for this? Okay, so it's loading. I'm going to allow for all tasks. Actually, it wants to use the data for SEO Google keyword overview skill or API call, basically. I'm just going to allow for all tasks. So in the future, I don't have to ask for that. And then I think if I go back, I might have to do the same on the other prompt to give it access. Yes. Okay. Same thing. Claude wants to use data for SEO Labs Google. Okay. So I'm going to allow for all tasks and same thing, allow for all tasks here. So here we can see it's basically calling the API using the MCP server to call the API, and you are charged for all of these API calls. So that's why it can be helpful to, if you want to review all of them, you don't have to allow for all. You could just allow once just to make sure that nothing's going off the rails. But I haven't really had an issue with that. All right, so we got a result. Here's what I found. Here's the search volume. And then we're ranking page 3 with this URL, nocode.mb articles, base 44, build internal apps. Okay, close to page 2, but not yet earning meaningful click-through from this keyword, giving Google's favoring video, embedding a strong tutorial on that article. I wonder if we actually are doing that already, but that's helpful information here that it's giving us. So we're going to go a level deeper here. Can you do more research around the base 44 keyword and tell us what article we should write to rank? Now, something else that I would recommend doing if you want to take this even to another level, I'm not going to cover this in this video, but something that you should be aware of is you can also connect your Google Search Console to Claude. And when Claude has Google Search Console data, which is your own personal search data from Google of where you're organically ranking for terms and getting clicks, with the data for SEO data, that's a super powerful combination to help Claude understand and analyze your SEO on a deeper level. So it's really cool. This one's still running. This is the first one, which is content gaps, which is going to take a little bit more research. But on the right side, we can see how it's really acting like a real SEO assistant where it's mapping first no-code MBA's existing content footprint. It's going to pull keyword gaps versus major no-code education competitors. So see where other competitors are ranking or where there's gaps. Pull keyword gaps versus AI builder content. Mine related suggested keywords for AI and no-code overlap. Cluster gaps into topic pillars with priority scoring. That's super powerful. Verify a sample of recommendations against live SERPs. So this is also really cool and where that SERP API comes in, where it can verify the recommendations versus like actual search results that are happening on Google right now. And then write the markdown gap analysis and save to output. So that would be the final output. So really interesting to see how it's going through this step-by-step to give us a very thorough answer. So here we're getting some really interesting information from this base 44 prompt that we put in earlier. So it's huge, it's growing. It has 165 to 201,000 searches a month. Our existing portfolio on no-code MBA already ranks for 50 plus base 44 keywords across 8 articles. So where I'm winning is the comparison and alternatives cluster. We're in the top 6 to 11 for alternatives versus cursor versus lovable. And trust and legitimacy is base 44 legit, base 44 review, is base 44 free via the pricing article. So we're doing pretty well. But it's also giving us the gaps. So this is where, again, it's really powerful and becomes like a real SEO agent. So the single largest underserved opportunity is the what is base 44 cluster. There's a ton of growth here, but we're ranking 33rd here. So that's potentially 6,500 monthly searches we're missing because the base 44 review article is what Google is matching to these informational queries, which is not right for this type of intent. And then it backs it up with the SERP. So this is where I said it's going to do actual research on what what pages are coming up for that search. So the top non-vendor results are a Reddit thread, their own blog, and Zeit's review. None of them are a true beginner explanation. So a recommendation based on everything it found is write What is Base 44? A Complete Beginner's Guide 2026 with this as the primary keyword. All right, cool. That's awesome. So here's where it gets super powerful. I'm going to say, great, let's write that article. And then I'm also going to say, be sure to look up related articles on nocode.mba to have internal linking throughout. Use best practice SEO. Okay, so now we did research. We found a content gap that we want to create that we think is going to give us a lot of search results. And now we're going to have Claude actually write that article. So while it's writing that article, let's come back here to our initial prompt, initial question, where we're going to do more detailed content gap analysis. And the headline finding, vibe coding is the single biggest opportunity. There's a ton of search that no-code MBA is not ranking for at all, despite sitting at the intersection of no-code and AI builders. I'm actually surprised that we're not ranking for those terms. So actually really interesting to see that. The other high leverage moves, so convert page 2 AI builder rankings into top 10, plant the AI agent builder pillar now, and quick quality fixes on existing pages. All right, so it created a report. So this is what I'm talking about, where it's really helpful to get something like this on a weekly basis. Then we take this report and convert it into action items so that we can actually take action and improve our SEO over time. And again, you can run this on a schedule. And this is where it gets really powerful because you're using the data from Data for SEO to base our AI, so in this case, Claude Opus 4.7, to base this in actual fact to take action and grow our SEO. Okay, so No Code MBA currently ranks for over 1,000 keywords. It's finding, this is vibe coding again, was the single biggest finding. It also had some other improvements that it's recommending. And if we go down, we can see the top competitors here these are SERP competitors. Basically, what this means is it's where we have the most overlapping keyword counts. So we can see Zapier.com and NoCode MBA have 222 intersecting keywords, lovable. And NoCode MBA has 212 intersecting keywords. So here we can see the headline opportunity, why this matters. This is really interesting, actually. I think this is amazing. So let's go down, recommended pillar architecture. So it's giving us, again, this is SEO best practices where you have a pillar page with kind of definition, history, tools, examples, courses, kind of targeting what is vibe coding. And then we have other pages that are related to that pillar. And then you can link back and forth to them on your site. Okay, so I'm going to skip through the other recommendations. Those are cool as well. But there's a prioritized roadmap, the next 90 days. So this is cool. So why don't we, similar to the other one, I'll say, great. Start by writing a first draft with best SEO practices of the vibe coding main pillar page. Okay. Now, a secret that I'm going to let you in on is if you also connect your CMS, such as Webflow, to Claude, it can write the article and it can publish it all in one workflow. And if you run all of that on a schedule, you can have it do research, write articles, publish them, and update them on a schedule. And then you have an AI SEO assistant running on autopilot powered by Data for SEO. So all of this can be done in one workflow if we keep taking this to the next level. Now, you also can do it this way where the human is in the loop and you're going to actually read things over. And I think that is the safer way to do things, just to make sure that everything is high quality that's getting posted. But there's just different ways to do this if you think about all of the different possibilities. Okay, so we have our article, almost 2,000 words, 15 internal links. It did research into our own website. It has SEO highlights, title tag, primary keyword, secondary keyword, FAQ section, and the right schema markup. And then it also researched all of these pages and these are other pages on our website, to make sure that everything it wrote was accurate. It looks like it did it in a markdown file. So let's open that up and see what it looks like. So this is a really, really nice overview. And this is where, I think that this is something that actually could rank for No Code MBA because we do already rank for a lot of other related keywords. Something you want to keep in mind, and this is something you could work with Data for SEO, the MCP server and Claude as well, is understanding where, based on what your domain authority it is, what other articles and blogs and pages you're ranking for already, what keywords you should be going after, based on the keyword difficulty. So if you're a brand new site, it would be very difficult to rank for what is base 44 because it's a pretty competitive keyword. But for no code MBA, we're not going to be ranking for the most competitive keywords yet, but we are able to rank for somewhat competitive keywords now. So something that you should keep in mind. Something else that you're probably thinking is, this is great that I can rank on Google, but what about ranking for ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, those types of things? So Data for SEO does have an AI optimization data API where you can optimize for AI search with accurate LLM data. So you can turn raw LLM data into optimization intelligence. So you can get LLM mentions, AI keyword data, LLM responses. So let's try this out just to see how this works. So we'll send a prompt. Can we see the LLM API response for if no code MBA is ranking for base 44 terms on AI searches? And something that I would just keep in mind here, generally, my philosophy on this is anything that's going to work, or for the most part, things that are going to work on Google, which is writing useful content that people want to read, is also going to work on AI LLMs in terms of citations. Now, something that I think also is going to be the case on both LLMs and Google is that video content is going to become more and more valuable. So it's always helpful to create video content, create content that's a little bit harder to create, because as you can see, while there is definitely skill involved in setting all of this up and doing it correctly and optimizing it, I think the floor is getting higher on how good your content has to be and how optimized it has to be to rank. So all of those are things to keep in mind. But yeah, I'll be curious to see if we are ranking on ChatGPT for these base 44 related queries, and because we are ranking on Google. So it'll be interesting to see what the MCP server is telling us here. So we got a result. It did 4 queries about base 44. And actually what's interesting is in this case, no code MBA is not appearing in the ChatGPT responses on the base 44 query. So you're going to get less results. You have to be like the top 3 or 4. But in this case, helpful to know, and also just helpful to know that the Data for SEO API has this as a data source that we can pull in. Now, if we go back, we can see the vibe coding pillar draft was created, almost 3,000 words. Really cool that it was able to do this. We can click and see the preview. Super long guide that it created. And I would go in and read this over, make edits, and just make sure everything is how we want it. But yeah, this is just a really cool use case and way that you could start thinking about how to go from, idea to research to actually creating content. And then, like I said, you could even, once you're happy with the changes, you could connect to Webflow and you could have it published directly via the Webflow API in Claude. So really just go from start to finish all in one tool. All right, click the link in the description to go to Data for SEO and get this set up for yourself. Let me know in the comments what you think, if this is helpful. I'm really curious about this type of content, so I'd love to hear what you think. And subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more free content like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.